Hello and welcome to the Mixtape podcast. I am your host, Mark. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's show. Before we get into the chat, just very quickly, if you enjoy the show this week, I would absolutely love it if you left a comment or rated the show 5 stars wherever you are listening. You can find all my social media links, my YouTube channel, and the full radio show on demand just by visiting the mixtapepodcast.com, and there you will find over 175 episodes just waiting for you to discover. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Hello and welcome to today's mixtape. And today on the show, what an absolute pleasure it is to be chatting to Mr. Shaun Ryder. How are you, Shaun?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. So you're bringing the Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches 35th anniversary. I can't believe it's been that long. Kicking off at the Astor Theatre on the 2nd of September, my birthday, right here in Perth, heading off to Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, and then over to NZ. It's Destroy All Lines for tickets. Looking forward to getting back down to Australia, Shaun?
Oh, yeah, love it. I mean, I think it's, about 18 months to was there last. So, yeah, I love Australia. The only thing that does me nothing is the 24-hour flight. But, there's always something to take for that, isn't there?
That is a long flight. I can tell you, Shaun, to the day when it was you were in Perth, 25th of October 2023. The reason for that is I'm looking at the set list from that show in Fremantle, which is pinned to my wall in my office right now. Yeah, that was the date, October 2023. So, yeah, it's nearly be getting on for 3 years by the time you get here. So, yeah, really looking forward to the show, especially since it's my birthday as well. When you're on tour, Shaun, nowadays, obviously it was a bit wild back in the day. Do you look after yourself a bit more like now on tour with sleep and diet and stuff, or do you still like to run amok when you get out there?
Dude, when you're in your 60s, mate, you got to look after yourself. Okay, hell yeah, you got to, you can't. I mean, I might in my head sometimes still be 21, but no, and I honestly can't see myself eat out of me nut dancing on a dance floor at 64. It might feel all right, but it sure look ridiculous. So yeah, on my rider now he's like Arabo, Apple Tango, and a few beers.
Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches, mate, 35th anniversary. Does it feel like that long?
It just depends what day it is and how I wake up. Sometimes it feels 135 years, and sometimes it feels like 35 days. Then the older you get, time goes even quicker. Really does. I mean, those 5 years you spent at secondary school felt like 25 years, and now 5 years just seems like 5 minutes.
If you told 1990 Shaun Ryder you'd be touring this album 35 years later, what do you think he would have said?
Well, I mean, we always planned. I mean, we never did. I never, and certainly Bez never wanted to leave this wonderful world we live in, going around playing music. And so probably think, well, will he still be alive? But yeah, I mean, I could have sort of seen myself still at it, but otherwise he might just tell me to fuck off.
And on the album itself, Shaun, what's your favourite track on the album? Is there one that you feel was like maybe a little bit overlooked, like by people, a bit of a sort of undiscovered gem on the album?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, it's like, I just look at it as bodies of work, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't go off singles, it's just albums, a body of work, and how it fits together. So, I mean, what I've done over the years is sort of mess around with the lyrics a little bit more, and sort of change, especially on things like, I can't even remember the titles of them. The one, what's it called? Holiday, yeah. I mean, because I wrote those songs so fast. I mean, when we got in the studio with Oakenfold in Capitol Studios in Los Angeles, I mean, okay, we went in there with about, I think, 2 tunes, and the rest, Okie threw up these beats, and as quick as they could, the bass line could be put to a beat and a actual guitar on something. I'd wrote the song, so if we got up a track a day, then I wrote a song a day really quickly. So now I could, after 35 years, I could sort of see where the lyrics should have gone. So when we play live, I will alter them a little bit.
Yeah, that was going to be my sort of follow-up question. Was like, when with the album now, looking back, is there anything you would change?
I wouldn't change any of the production or the music, just expand on the sort of lyrics, on the stories of some of the tunes, a little bit.
And talking about Paul Oakenfold and Steve Osborne, I think worked on that album as well. What was it like working with them? I know you've worked with them too a fair bit, and what did they bring to that album?
Well, I mean, they brought Okie. I mean, I discovered Okie, in Ibiza in 86, something like that, 87. That's where I discovered Paul Oakenfold, and he was mixing in dance beats with guitar licks from the Wooden Tops or Orange Juice. And it's like, that was like where it was like, sort of Balearic, and I mean, and when I sort of mentioned to Tony Wilson and whoever was managers at the time, Nathan McCock, well, I want to work with this dude on this next album as a producer. It was like, who is he? And then when you find out, oh, he's a DJ. What, I mean, I think Oki had only ever done Chibaro, which, not, so you really knew who Oakenfold was if he was up there with like the trendy DJs in London or, read DJ magazines. But, most people, especially in the North, didn't have a clue who he was. But they gave Oki a chance on the B side. I wrote Luck or one of the mixes because Vince Clarke was the big boy then.
Right.
Vince probably had about 5 or 6 tunes in the charts of different bands or that he'd produced the tunes. I mean, he's brilliant, but that sound was there. So they gave Vince the sort of A side, and they sort of twisted their arm to let Paul Oakenfold and have a go, and of the same song, but on the flip side. And because it was sort of so different than what was going on, the guys the DJs on the late night radio shows had turn over 12-inch and play Oki's version. So that really convinced the rest of them at Factory then to let him have a go at some more, and Hallelujah, I think. And then eventually the one that kicked us off, which was You Twisted My Melon Man, John Conger's Carbon Cops. I forgot the name of the bloody song. Step on. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that we had when we went over to make Pills and Thrills. I mean, that and I think 2 other tracks was all we had. So because he'd already done that, and we decided we'd saved Step On for the album, and because originally our American label Elektra, they got us to do that track because they wanted all new signings to Elektra to do tracks by bands from the 60s and 70s who was signed to Elektra. And it was like, well, we don't do cover versions. So they gave us a C90, and I think the 3rd track on it was John Conger's. So we did that, put a bass line on it. I stuck some warble down on it and called the cops and Twisted Melon, sent it to Oki. He sent it back within a few days. And so we thought, oh, well, we won't give that to Elektra. We'll keep that for ourselves. And then we gave him another John Conger's one.
I remember I interviewed Clint Boone a long time ago, a couple of years ago now, and he was saying how the Carpets had loads of remixes and stuff they used to put out, and they said we used to pay like Paul Van Dyke like 50 quid to remix our songs, like for B-sides and alternate versions and stuff like that. Back in them days, like it was really easy to get, like, people who are now, likes of Paul Oakenfold and Paul Van Dyke, just absolute icons, but they were remixing songs for bands back in the 80s and 90s for 50 quid. It's unbelievable when you think about it.
Well, yeah, he was probably getting paid less than that for doing, DJing wherever it was DJing,
Just on you yourself, Shaun, you've lived sort of quite a full life with the Mondays and touring and all the other stuff you've done. Is there anything on your bucket list, Shaun, that you still would like to do or achieve, either in music or outside music?
No, I'll just carry on what I'm doing. I mean, I enjoy what I do now more than ever. All the hang-ups of youth and all that lot has gone. All sort of, the madness of being off me on untold different types of drugs and everything, I mean, back then really it was like, rock and roll first and then came the making music, but now it's like, I mean, I just wish it could have been this easy from the start, you know. So just carry on what we're doing because, you know, you don't retire, you know. You just carry on until you do a Tommy Cooper and carry on as long as you're happy doing it.
I was telling an Australian friend of mine the other day about Tommy Cooper and his untimely end on stage at the Palladium. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that, yeah.
I was watching that live.
Yeah, I was as well. Yeah, I was as well. I remember that happening, yeah.
Because we all thought it was a joke. Thought it was like in his act.
Shaun, I want to talk to you about collaborations, if I can, and sort of other stuff that you've done outside of the Mondays. You collaborate with people like Lottery Winners, Russell Watson, I think Gorillaz. You've done I'm a Celebrity, Gogglebox. You've done a character on Grand Theft Auto, like Voices, a History Channel program about UFOs. You've done acting. Outside of the Monday, Shaun, what's your most favourite thing that you do?
You miss Celebrity Storage Hunters. You don't know that one when you go along and buy this, you know, a crate of something that you don't know what's inside it.
Oh no, I don't
not seen that.
No. I'll have to look out for that one. How'd you go on that one? Do well? Do you make any money?
Yeah, we bought a tank. We bought a tank and an armored jeep and a machine gun. The thing was, best thought we could keep it, you know.
Oh, imagine that, driving down the streets of Manchester in that. That would have been hilarious. Talking about collaborations, one of the stories that I've come across a year or so ago that I heard you tell, which was astounding. If you could tell the story, if you wouldn't mind, for my listeners, of you recording your vocals for Dare with Gorillaz and what happened in the studio and how that came about, because that is an absolute cracking story, mate.
Yeah. You know what, though? It's mad, you know. That's 21 years old now, though.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, really, I mean, I got called off Damon. I mean, I was going through, I mean, I did 12 years of receivership, which means you get 100% of your income took off you. Everything. You know, so, you know, you're not supposed to live. Because I was going through a load of shit, I was dry as fuck, I got writer's block and everything. And I got called off Damon to come to London, do you want to get involved in this? And it was like, anyway, I did. And basically, the quick story of that is I walked in the studio, Damon put this track up, I put on the headphones and I can't hear it. So I say, turn it up. And as he's turning it up, I'm saying, turn it up, turn it up. And as it's going up, I'm going, it's going up, 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 it's going up. And then in text speak, I went, it's Dare, right? So, and Damon went, do that again. And I go, do fucking what? And he said, what you just done? But then just ad-lib a bit. So I went, okay, it's going up, 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 it's Dare. And then, you know, just, you know, freestyling, never did no harm. And then, boom, that was it, really. And do you want to do some more? Do you want to stay, do another track? What? And I went, no, I thought, and did one. I mean, and then I had to remind them that is their only number one of Gorillaz in this country.
That's exactly what I was going to say there. That is their only number one single. Fantastic. That is a great story. I love stories like that. That is brilliant. I've got quick fire 5 questions for you, Shaun. The first one's what's on your tour rider. We've already sort of covered that one, so we don't need to talk about that. We've got Haribo and all that other good stuff. Next one is, do you have a pre-show ritual, Shaun?
No, never. No. You know, I mean, I don't do vocal warm-ups or anything. I mean, I'm not, you know, I don't even know how to sing. I don't even know how to breathe. You know, I mean, my sort of inspirations that I grew up with, you know, for vocals really as well was, you know, Bob Dylan, Johnny Rotten, you know, Public Enemy. You know, it was like something more, you know, sort of not traditionally singing, and I still don't know how to breathe or anything like that. And I've never bothered to learn or have singing. So, and I've been really lucky with my voice as well, you know. I mean, I've hammered it for doing all sorts, but I've been really lucky with that.
Excellent. And this one I am expecting a pretty decent answer to. Have you ever had any onstage disasters?
Oh, yeah, loads of times. I mean, you know, I've been in the middle of a gig and fallen asleep, you know, fallen over, all sorts. I mean, I haven't gone off stage yet, you know. I mean, I remember watching years and years ago when we was one of the first tours we did in the States, and Delight, we was on the us and Delight, and their movies in the art had was just hitting. And one of their guys, he's dancing away on stage, and he's facing he's not facing the audience. He goes back to the audience, he's dancing and he's walking backwards. And the next thing he goes off fucking stage and it's about a 20-foot drop. So I think the rest of the tour he did in a wheelchair with a plaster cast on.
At least he soldiered on. Fair play to him. The show must go on.
Yeah. That's what you got to do. It's like, we've been in some proper states, but, never cancelled a gig because of illness or anything like that. Where, I think some of the youngins today, if they get a bad cough or a cold, the gig might be sacked. But, we've gone down through all sorts,
What is your favourite city to play live, Shaun?
Oh, God. I mean, the thing about the Mondays is whether we're in, Manchester or Japan or Brazil, or whatever. I mean, our sort of people that come and watch us are all pretty the same, all neurodiverse. So, I love playing everywhere, really. The first time that I went to Mexico and the first time I went to Brazil, they really blew me away, them places.
Talking to Mexico and Brazil, you've been watching the football, Shaun?
Some of it, yeah. I mean, I put the football on the telly to watch it, and it was starting at 2:00 in the morning. And I must have nodded off because when I woke up, I'd not even seen the beginning and the game had ended. So I had to watch.
Yeah, it's not great times here in Perth either. Most of the games are in the middle of the night, midnight, between midnight and 5 a.m. We've had a couple in the mornings, but yeah, it's not great being a football fan in Perth. Final question, Shaun, if you could time travel to any concert in history, whose concert would you see?
Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it? But I suppose it's got to be a Beatles one. Even if I went to the Cavern or Shea Stadium or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd have to be a Beatles one, I think.
The rooftop concert's quite a popular answer in that question.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I wouldn't mind you being on the rooftop, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one, yeah.
Being on the rooftop, skinning up for the band. That'd have been ideal.
Brilliant. I'm sure they had someone doing that as well. They must have had. It's the Beatles.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
All right, Shaun, let's talk about some mixtape track choices in the time that we've got left.
Right.
What was the first song you learned to play or sing, Shaun?
Well, the first song I think remembering singing was Leaving on a Jet Plane. I think I must have been about, 8 or something. I remember singing that in the school playground. But then there was all sorts of other ones, that we used to change the words to, so that all the songs became about tits and fannies. But off the top of my head now, I can't. There was bend it, double it, and send it. It's end it with 2 fingers being stuck up. But I do remember singing "Leaving on a Jet Plane" with me and my mate playing tennis rackets. Excellent. Something like that, anyway.
What is one of your favourite songs for a road trip, mate? If you're going on a road trip, what do you like to listen to?
Okay, so what about Sympathy for the Devil? Yeah, Sympathy for the Devil.
Excellent.
That'll do me for today.
Love that one. Yeah, that's a great one. Have you ever met any of the Stones, Shaun?
Oh, God, my first Rolling Stones concert I went to with Ronnie and Keith.
Excellent. Love that.
Because at the time, we'd just done the Black Grape album, hadn't we? The first Black Grape album. So Danny Sabre then. And we ended up back at, I think it was Ronnie's apartment. And we was playing them, the first Black Grape album. And then when it ended, they went, put it on again. And when it ended, put it on again. When it ended, they put it on again. And so Danny Sabre ended up working with them doing mixes. So that was me. And then they ended up going to a Stones gig with Ronnie.
I can only imagine what a night out with you, Ronnie Wood, and Keith Richards would be like and end up like. That is really something to consider and ponder. I imagine that was absolutely one for the ages.
Well, I can remember being in the apartment and playing the record, but that's it. That's all I can remember.
What's your favourite duet or collaboration? All
right, so for this one today, because you get me tomorrow and I'll come up with something different. Yeah. Sonny and Cher, I Got You, Babe.
Out of all the people you've collaborated with, Shaun, who's been your favourite?
Oh, blimey, I mean, the Lottery Winners was great and Damon's brilliant, but I think, the people that I have collaborated, I mean, I get almost every day to do a collaboration with people, but I'm very, very picky.
Why not? What's one of your favourite tracks from a live album, Shaun?
Live album, I'm going to pick on this one, Ever Fallen in Love with Someone from the Buzzcocks in Australia in 1990.
Excellent, excellent. You would have seen them growing up.
Oh, God, yeah, there was one. Yeah. I mean, I saw them at Bellevue in Manchester, There was I think it was one of the first gigs I ever went to.
What a great early gig to go to. What would be your Monday morning mood boosting track, Shaun, to get you up and started for the week?
I'll keep that close then. I'll go with Blue Monday, New Order.
Love that. I interviewed Hooky about 6 months ago. He's in New Zealand at the moment, and he's coming to Australia next week. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great show. Love Hooky. He was so good to interview. Great guy.
Yeah, he's mellowed a lot in his older age. You see, he's great.
Yeah,
I watched this really good program on Sky Arts with Hooky, and talking about Joy Division and New Order and everything. It was really, really good.
Yeah, fantastic.
He's got his son in the band now, hasn't he? So his son's in Peter Hook and the Light.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, his son's in the band. Yeah.
And finally, for your mixtape, Shaun, what's your favourite track from an Australian band?
All right, now this one, AC/DC Thunder. I know it's dead. That's sort of like dead obvious, but it's mega.
Yeah. Never need an excuse to play AC/DC on the show. I had the absolute pleasure of seeing them live last year with my 13-year-old son in Perth, and it was one of the best live shows I've ever seen. Absolutely phenomenal.
I think I first heard of him when they had this. I can't remember the name of the song, but on the front, on the 12-inch single cover, he had wires coming out of his hands.
Power Ridge is the name of that album.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right. That came out in the 70s, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a Bon Scott one, that. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was when I first heard of him.
Shaun, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, mate. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. Happy Mondays, Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches 35th anniversary tour coming to Perth, the Astor Theatre, on the 2nd of September, following on to Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane and New Zealand. Destroy all lines for tickets. I looked earlier on and there are 10 tickets left for the Astor Theatre in Perth. So if you want to grab them quick. And they are the upstairs balcony tickets as well. Downstairs, that's completely sold out. Safe travels down under, Shaun. Can't wait to see you, mate.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, fella. Thank you.
No problem. Cheers, Shaun. See you soon, mate. Bye.
Cheers, Pat. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's mixtape. If you enjoyed this show, then please subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, or leave comment on whichever platform you are listening. And don't forget, you can check out over 175 archive episodes just by visiting the mixtapepodcast.com. There you'll also find social media links, YouTube channel, and the radio show, including the songs chosen by this week's guest. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.